Hey guys, welcome to the video. I'm kind of making this for fun at this point because we got NHL 21 just a couple of months away, but if you're wondering, what's a good build I can use, these are some builds that I've had a lot of success with, and so I thought I'd share them with you guys. Now before I get into anything, I just wanted to make a note that the heights and weights of these builds can vary mostly. The power forward is kind of set in stone. But for the two-way forward, playmaker, etc., like you can change things up. If you go down a couple of inches in height, you can raise your guy's weight up and reach kind of the same level of stats. So just keep that in mind before we get into things. You don't necessarily need to go with the heights and weights I choose. These are just ones that I've liked and that I recommend to you. Alright, so let's get into it. So we're going to start off with the two-way forward here. It's a great center build, can be used in 6's or 3's. Preferred in 6's, but he can still skate, so you can use him in 3's if you want to, if you don't mind playing a bigger guy, because that's what he is. He's 6'1", 196 pounds, so he's a bit beefy. This gives him pretty good strength, balance, and body checking. You trade off a bit of the skating stats, but like I said, you can still wheel when you want to. For every build here, the handedness is completely up to you. I can't use a righty that well. I shoot left. Do your thing. For the first trait here, we have offensive-minded 2. This is going to take down your defensive stats a bit, but it's going to give you greatly increased puck control and some offensive awareness on top of that. One of the two-way forward's biggest weaknesses is that it has fairly low puck control. One of its biggest strengths is that it has high defensive stats for a forward. Trade off some of those defensive stats for the puck control. The offensive awareness is just gravy. This is a great perk for our two-way forward. For the second trait, we have core balance 2, and as you're going to see as I go through these builds, this is probably my favorite trait in the game. I hate getting bumped off the puck. This stops you from getting bumped off the puck by just about anything other than the big boys. You got your two-way or your power forwards and your defensive defenseman, that kind of thing. It's a great perk. I recommend you use it on just about every build. And for the last trait, the specialty, we have Marathon Man, and this is also going to be on just about every build. Especially for center, you're going to need this. You're going to be going up and down the ice like a Zamboni, so you're going to want to make sure your endurance gets up there and that you're regaining energy as quickly as possible so you can get back into the play. If you're playing wing, you can get away without this. If you're playing D, you can get away without this, but if you're playing center or you're playing 3's, you need Marathon Man. So the second build I have for you guys is a power forward. It can be used in 6's or 3's. I prefer it at center, just like the last build, but you can use it on wing if you want. And it's the biggest build I'm going to be showing you guys, 6'2", 214. So you're a bit on the slow side, but you got the physical stats to throw guys around when you make contact. So you're going to be bodying guys off the puck pretty frequently. For the traits, we have offensive-minded 2. It's going to take your defensive stats down again, but it leaves your stick checking at a fairly respectable 77. So you can still stick lift guys and get it pretty cleanly sometimes. And again, in exchange you get that increased puck control, and couple that with the balance and strength, and you're not getting knocked off the puck by the 5'7", 160 guys, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. And for the second trait, we have quick first step 2. This is going to take your acceleration up from, I believe, 83 or 82. This is going to give you a much faster guy, and you need that, especially if you're playing 3's. Otherwise you're just going to feel like you're way too slow off the hop, and you're just going to get burned all the time. And for the last trait, just like the previous build, we got Marathon Man. You need that energy, especially when you're playing a big guy. This guy's endurance is lower than most, so you're really going to need that Marathon Man. So this next build I got for you guys here is the Dangler class. And you're not going to want to take this into 6's unless you're extremely confident. This is 3's only. He's a small guy. He's 5'7", 169 pounds. This gives him naturally super high skating stats. You're going to be like Sonic the Hedgehog out there, but your physical stats are a little bit on the low side, so you're going to get bullied off the puck if you get hit. So you're going to want to make sure you use those skating stats and that high deacon to burn guys wide and drive to the net. Once you get past them, tuck in some nice goals. For the first trait, you got core balance 2. I don't think I mentioned this earlier, but core balance takes your shooting stats down a little bit. On most builds, you're not going to notice it, and the trade-off you get is, in my opinion, worth it every single time. This is going to take your balance up from very low to kind of the mid-levels, so you're still going to get knocked off the puck sometimes. It's just going to happen, but this is going to make your guy feel more like a mid-sized guy rather than a small guy. And quick first step 2 is a second trait. This is going to give you increased acceleration, a little bit lower agility, but both stats are already through the roof, and this is going to make your guy even faster than he already was before. You have a couple of alternatives. You can go with, quick wrister, or or whatever. Experiment with it. I like quick first step too. It just feels nice, especially in 3's. And Marathon Man, you're going to be going turbo around the ice all the time. You're going to need this. You just do. You need it. You need the energy. Just take this every time. So the fourth build I got for you guys here is probably my favorite build in the game. It's the Playmaker build. It can be used in 6's or 3's. It can be used center or wing. I guess I kind of prefer it on the wing, but absolutely use it on center, especially in 3's. He's just a very well-rounded guy. As you can look at the stats there, he's got good offensive stats, good defensive stats, and his athleticism stats, like his skating stats are nothing to sneeze at, man. Like, he can keep up with the little guys, and with his physical stats, he can also beat them up. So it's a pretty good build. He's 6'1", 180 pounds. It's kind of what I settled on. You can fiddle with it a little bit. 6'2", 176 is good. You can go 5'11", 187. It's really up to you. Of course, for the perks, we got core balance too. Take those mid-range physical stats and get that balance up, make him a lot harder to knock off the puck. And the Playmaker's got naturally high puck control, so couple that with high balance, and it is surprisingly hard to knock you off the puck despite being fairly low weight. And then for the secondary trait, if you're playing 3's, I like dirty dangles. I really like executing dekes cleanly. I hate it when you go to do just a simple L1 quick deke and your guy just drops the puck behind him. Drives me up the wall. So if you're playing 3's and you know you got that space to pull off the dangles, I really like dirty dangles too. It's going to lower your shooting stats a little bit, or your wrist shot anyways. Not a big deal. You're going to be scoring from in close or on one-timers most of the time anyways. If you are playing 6's, you can kind of go a couple of different ways. My preferred option is to go with Beast Mode 2. Lowers your wrist shot accuracy a little bit, brings up its power. You're not really cranking wrist shots anyways. And this will give you that increased puck control without lowering your defensive stats like offensive minded would. I kind of like having my defensive stats a little higher. One of the reasons I like the Playmaker is because that naturally, kind of mid-level 78 is not too bad. It's usable. Lowering it down to that is kind of down to Dangler levels, and then you're getting to the point where, pressing X to stick lift sometimes gets a bit risky. So for 6's, I like Beast Mode. And for the specialty, for 6's, for 3's anyways, Marathon Man, of course, but for 6's, you can kind of go a couple of different ways. You can go with One-Time Wonder to help you put pucks in the back of the net, obviously, when you get those nice speeds from your teammates. Or you can go with Drive the Net. You're going to be, you got naturally high puck control, especially if you're using Beast Mode. And with the balance you've got as well, like, you can cut into the net and be a really powerful, disruptive player. And so Drive the Net is much more usable in 6's when you don't necessarily need to constantly turbo up and down the ice with this guy. So this is a great build. This is my favorite build. So the first D build I'm going to be showing you guys is my primary D build. You can use this in 6's or 3's, doesn't matter. Right side, left side, up to you. I shoot left. I kind of prefer playing left side, but I can also play right. I'm fine with either. If you look at his size, he's very similar in size to the Playmaker is. Kind of because the puck moving defenseman and the Playmaker seem to use kind of the same scale for their sizes. So I also have him at 6'1", 180 because it feels good on my Playmaker. It also feels good on my defenseman. We got defensive minded too. Puck moving defenseman's defensive stats are kind of okay naturally, but this brings him up to a pretty good level. This kind of makes him feel like a two-way defenseman in his defensive stats. So you really need that to get that up there, especially if you're going to be relied on as an actual linchpin of the defense and not just the guy moving the puck up the ice. And for the second trait, we have core balance too. We have this as a second trait rather than the Playmaker, which had as the first trait. I don't think you need the balance as much as D-Man. You are going to be getting hit quite a bit, but you're going to also just be getting rid of the puck. You're not going to be kind of ragging it all the time and holding on to it like you would with the Playmaker necessarily. You could if you wanted to. It's totally up to you. But you need the balance perk regardless in one of these spots. I like the defensive minded 2 in the first spot because I prefer the higher defensive stats over the one extra point of balance, but it's up to you. And for the specialty, I've picked defensive stick. You're not going to be a very physical build here, so you want to be able to break up the play quickly. This lets you do that when they get across the blue line. If you've got your gap maintained properly, you can just throw out this poke check and hopefully break up the play immediately and get the puck moving the other direction. So the last build I'm going to be showing you guys is the two-way defenseman. He's a big boy. You use him in 6's mostly. You can use him in 3's though. He's 6'1", 201, though you can go down to 6 feet for an extra point of speed, but it does cost you a point of balance, durability, fighting skill, and body checking, so you gotta kind of weigh the options. Fiddle around with it, see what works. Just like the previous build, you got defensive minded too, except on this guy it boosts your defensive stats up to godlike levels. Like, it's gonna be extremely hard to do anything around you if you're in position. Like, you're gonna be a nightmare to go up against. This takes down your shooting stats, but as a D-man, you're mostly shooting for rebounds and tips anyways, so you're not even really going to notice it. I like laser passing too for the second trait. I like being able to move the puck around quickly, get it off my stick, and make a really good stretch pass. Again, takes down your shooting stats. I don't even notice it when I play D. You can also use, if you like, good stick too. This takes down your body checking a bit, but it's still 73. You're still going to bully the little guys around. And this takes your stick checking up to 92, which is absolutely bananas. Basically means if you have a stick check lined up, you're going to take the puck. So this build is extremely difficult to go around as a forward. Like, you really have to use your teammates to even have a chance. Otherwise, you're just going to lose the puck to this guy. And he's got back skating as well. This, as I said earlier, he's a bit of a slow build, so this back skating perk will help him skate backwards and maintain that gap and, you know, get that good poke check or land that hit at the blue line or whatever. This build is definitely the shutdown guy. He doesn't do a lot offensively, but he definitely stops the other team in their tracks. Alright, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, guys. I know this was kind of a long video. I just made this for fun. I know, like, we got NHL 21 coming out, so we're all just itching for some hockey stuff. So if you liked it, do that YouTube stuff at the bottom. Otherwise, you know, just have yourselves a wonderful day. You guys are all heroes. Peace.
That's a saved replay right now.
That was nasty.